welcome back. Well, I know I promised that I was going to be getting on with the Air5 Bonneville, but I've got a few other issues with this one that I need to still address and sort out. And it's still back with the clutch. Now, the new clutch plates and springs sorted out the clutch slip issue perfectly. It's fantastic. I mean, the bike really pops and roars along now. It's awesome. The only thing that I had noticed, which developed a couple of days afterwards, was like as you sort of in that almost when you slip the clutch a little bit through traffic, or you're pulling away slowly in first gear, or if you're on a hill and you're pulling away, you get the clutch chatter, like a noise. And I initially was a little bit concerned because I thought, is it something I've messed up? But it only sort of manifested itself a few days afterwards, you know, and I've been riding it back and forth and did a bit more further research, and apparently early 2001 Bonnevilles did suffer from clutch chatter, as it's called. If you do a search online for Bonneville clutch chatter, there's quite a lot of talk about it. They did change the design somehow in later years, or in the second half of the 2001 or something like that. Although I have struggled to try and find a definitive kind of solution, or indeed exactly what caused the chatter, what part was wrong, what wasn't working that caused it. The nearest I can find is to do with the clutch basket. Some people reckon that there's like a bearing face. I'm just going to see if I can get an example to show you, because basically what I ended up doing was having a look. It's really expensive to get any clutch parts direct from Triumph. So I had a look on Fleabay, as you do, and there was a 2008 or 2005, I can't remember now, but a later model clutch, whole clutch assembly. So there was plates, there was springs, there was the pressure plate, the basket, the whole shebang, the whole lot, 60 quid delivered. So I bought that. I mean, we've got 3 Bonnevilles in the family, as I've said before, so it's a nice thing to have knocking around, a little bit sort of a handy bag of extras. Yeah, let me just grab the clutch basket. Okay, so basically this is what I got, complete with springs, pressure plate, the pin, and clutch plates obviously. And one school of thought is that this surface here was increased in later years. Now this is the one that came off of that bike. Apparently it wasn't was it a recall or a warranty issue or something like that originally. I've got to say, the basket that came off it, this is the one that came off it, looked pretty much identical. That looks, I can't really remember because I was rushing one evening because I'm trying to get this for work, obviously, because it's my daily ride. I didn't do an AB next to it, I wish I had now. Yeah, not a massive amount of difference between the two from what I can recall. So that's got me a little bit, we'll see. Other differences are, this one was off of Bonneville, and I know the America has that pin that, you know, you wanted to make sure went in nice and smoothly on that plate in front of the springs. That's what will actually, when you pull your clutch lever and this arm down here moves, and that pushes that little pin out, and that comes into contact with that, pushes into the clutch basket. Well, that one, the other one has this area is a smaller diameter, and the actual pin itself finishes here, so you haven't got this shaft with this kind of spiral groove in it. Now I couldn't just put this one back in because the kind of input shaft which goes through the engine on this bike does not have a hole board in it to accept that to go in, so literally it just won't fit, you know, you can't push it in far enough. So I've had to use the other one, the original one that was on there. So whether that's an issue, I don't know. This is what I'm struggling to find out, what caused the clutch chatter, and what the actual remedies were. You know, even some reports from the dealers and whatnot seem to be a bit vague, trying different things. So yeah, so I don't know, that came, I was hoping there'd be a bit more of an obvious difference between the clutch baskets, but apparently not. So what I've done is, again, this is like the third time I've drained the oil out of this thing. I'm not going to put that oil back in. I've done not many miles on it, but it's been out and it's open and blah blah blah. I'm just going to put the fresh oil back in it. But I've put it all back together again. We're just going to have to see what happens really. So this video is going to be a bit of a bits of video. I did get a request to see how I adjust the clutch cable, so I'll show that because I've got to do that now anyway, because I've got to put the clutch cable back on. I'm also going to have a little bit of a revamp with the exhaust, and the side panels are off as well. They're going to get a respray because I'm spraying up the exhaust as well, so I'll show you what I'm doing with that. And yeah, let's crack on. So I'll show you the clutch cable adjustment first, at least. Not necessarily, is it the right way? Don't know. This is the way I've always done it.
Okay, starting at this end, on the clutch cable at the lever end, I just wind the adjuster all the way in as far as it will go, and then that gives us the most amount of slack. So that's how we start off with that end. We'll come back to this to do the fine tweaking in a little while. Then we go back down to the engine side. So let's get this camera set up. Okay, and so we've got on the clutch here, we've backed that nut off all the way to get it on, hooked it into the arm here. So that's working, and this nut here, the adjuster nut, is backed off all the way, so we've got the maximum amount of movement on here, and then obviously a lot of free play there. So you just feel until that kind of engages, it's nice and loose. So what we're going to do is it's usually around about halfway if it's a fairly good cable, but I'm just going to wind the lock nut in to approximately the middle to begin with, just finger tight. And then, right, that's really tight there. When I'm pushing that arm there's absolutely no free play. So what I'm going to do is just back off this adjuster nut a little bit, drop it back that way, tighten up the lock nut. Okay, we've got a tiny amount of free play there now. So when there's a little bit of free play, that's what I like there. So I'm going to leave that, then just going to nip these up, not too tight, but just tight enough so they don't move. Double check again. Yep, lovely job. Right, okay, so I'm happy with that end. Now it's back up to the handlebar end. And what we want to do now is we're going to back this out, because at the moment quite a lot of free play there. And the free play is just when you're touching that and just before it bites, so that's when you're pulling in the clutch. So I might need two hands to do this, might not. So that will be alright. So I'm just going to wind this out now. Keep winding that out. And what I'm going to be looking for is, on this bike anyway, about 3 mil of gap here before the clutch cable starts biting in and engaging. So I think they say 3 to 5 mil of free play. That's probably at the 5 mil mark now. Yeah, so that's around about 3 there. And then feel that, see, that's a bit stiffer than misses, a bit stiffer than the usual clutch, because obviously we've got new plates, new springs and everything in there. But yeah, there we go. That should be about it. But that's how I pretty much set a clutch cable up to adjust it, and then you can obviously do a little fine tweaking at this end to suit. But yeah, the 3 to 5 mil free play allows for the bars moving around. I should probably do it with it straightened up as well. And yeah, happy days. So that's it. That's pretty much how I do a clutch cable. Well, like I said, I'm also going to do something with the exhaust. I do like the little tip ones; they are pretty cool. But I kind of want something that's a bit deeper sounding. I don't think I'm going to get that with such, you know, literally straight out the downpipes. So I'm going to try those little, the slash cut ones that I had again. I'm going to put the original T100 exhausts with the upswept bit at the end of the downpipes, and then those connectors on, because I quite like the way that they bring the whatever pipes you put on the end. It just makes life a little bit easier for making up brackets. I can get them a bit closer and a little bendy and whatnot. But I'm going to clean them up. I want to give them, I want it all to go sort of black. So got some this stuff which I like, and yeah, I'm going to get spraying. Might do a few other bits black whilst I'm in the spraying mood as well and the weather's nice. I might do the side panels. Haven't quite decided what I'm going to do on the side of those yet, but I think I'd quite like to get them black. And yeah, so going to crack on. Black exhausts, well, they were black already, but I've just given them a couple of coats over as well to match in with the rest of the exhaust. So they had a quick keying off, nice sand, and then several layers of black. It's a nice one. This one, it's the Simonez. Is it Simonez? Is that how you say it? Their black high temperature up to 800 degrees exhaust paint, whatever. But you don't get that quite the same chalkboard. This looks just a little bit more ceramic coated, which is quite nice. Don't know if that's going to pick up quite as well, but yeah, it's not quite that blackboard chalkboard look to it. So the link pipes as well, so I've got on the end there for aftermarket exhausts. So I'm going to make up some nice brackets as well, but I'm just waiting on some exhaust studs and some new exhaust gaskets as well before I put these on, and then run them gently just to cure these off, because easiest way to do it on there, and they don't fit in my oven. A little look, see how our side panels are cooking. Looking quite nice. Baked on fairly well. Oh well, well done with me. Out, might as well do the chain guard as well. Going back in black. Right, so we're going to put the new exhaust on, but I've got myself some new exhaust studs, because the top ones, when I took the exhaust off when I first got the bike, were pretty corroded and a bit crappy, so they'd come out and I've just had some bolts, which have done the job, but I'll put the studs back in. So I've picked up some, oh, they're over there now, exhaust studs, but just going to take out, these ones are slightly longer, it's me being OCD, you see I've put some new ones in on that side. Get them all the same, so I need to whip this one off, so I'm going to do that with the old 2 nuts method. So I've just stuck 2 nuts on the end there, and I'll just tighten them against each other so they lock against each other, and then I'll be able to use one of those to wind it out. Luckily, if all the others, this one is the same as all the others, it should be a fairly painless stud extraction. Famous last words. Okay then, so there they are, they're locked against each other. So I'll go to the inner one, and that seems to be doing the job. Yeah, that's what we like. Yeah, nice new fresh gaskets, fresh studs inside there. I'll put some copper slip on those when I tighten them down. But the exhausts are touch dry now, so I'm going to stick them on and hopefully do it without scratching them. Famous last words. Well, there we go. Just give you a quick look. Whilst it's sort of roughly on the bike, obviously we'll get it out in situ a bit later on, but that's all mounted up. They're roughly in the position I want them, but you can see, there we go. I need to make up a, let's come around here like that, like a little bracket just to hold these up here. They'll actually sit about like that. So I have a little rummage around, and I think the old headlight brackets that I didn't use before, they might just do the job, I think. If I can, they got a little bit of a kink in them, which is actually spot on. So let's try and transform this. There we go. So this should be the correct spacing for the holes, hopefully. So I'll just trim these down a little bit and make them look a bit neater. Okay, there we go. Shaped up. Ready to mount. Let's see what they look like. Well, I do like it, but I'm having another idea, because I've got some different plans for this bike. So I'm going to take that exhaust off, because I really like it, but I don't know if it's going to be what I want to do with this one. I'm going to put it on this one. So all that hard work for nothing. Well, we've got the exhaust on, so now it's time to go and get the lid, go for a test ride, and see what how it performs with the jetting and the clutch. So wish me luck. Right then, let's get that set up. I'm back. Oops, stay. Back from a sort of 25, 30 mile-ish, I think it was, sort of test ride, and I thought I had cured the clutch chatter completely. Whatever had changed had worked, but there was one point at a roundabout when I was going through town, and it just did a little chatter a bit more, so I'm not entirely sure. I did adjust the clutch cable a little bit then, and it didn't do it again since, so that's probably something I'm going to just keep an eye on, keep researching, like cures and whatever. I'd love to know, yeah, the definitive reason. I might even contact Triumph, I don't know, just to find out, because it'll really annoy me, I think. I wouldn't be able to live with it. Well, anyway, but the exhaust sounds great on it, really nice. The jetting feels, you know, by the seat of my pants dyno, as I call it, that feels pretty, you know, it's pulling great through the whole rev range, no sort of dead spots, no kind of adverse effects. So yeah, I think that's fairly close to where it should be. So yeah, so happy days. So with that, Bonnie, she's kinda almost there. I'm sure there'll be your little things that I need to tweak. Upcoming for that is also probably cutting the subframe down, shortening it, and putting like the frame loop in the back of it. Good friend of mine sent me a frame loop, so I will. That is definitely on the cards for that one. I think I want to give it that more of that brat styley kind of vibe to it, which kind of leads on to what I think I might have mentioned before. I've got possibly a long-term plan for the EFI Bonneville, as they're both kind of brat styley-ish, or that street track. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I'm thinking the EFI one, I'd like to scratch the hardtail itch with it. I think I might go that way with it. The other one is kind of ticking the bratty boxes that I want. The hardtail, which is, you know, I just love hardtails. I just love the look of them. They're just great. And now I've got two Bonnies, I can kind of afford to have one that is, you know, a bit of a rougher ride, if you like, you know, because I've got the other one with shocks if I need to do big distances and stuff like that. So, you know, and that is the kind of Sunday best one. It's got all the nice wheels, nice bits and bobs on it. So, not that it'll be like a show pony, you know, but you know, it's going to be, that's the kind of, you know, it could be that the carbon would be a better one to chop up, but if I'm going to put that much time and effort into it, I'd rather it be the EFI one, because I prefer the like the look of the engine on that one. Nice, all the bits and bobs that are on that one. A lot that I can hopefully transfer over to the other bike, or to a hardtail thing. I'm not entirely sure if I'm just going to chop the subframe off and get a, like the LC Fabrications do, like quite a nice hardtail on the back there. Fenland Choppers quite near me do some great Hinkley Bonnie stuff, doing even the 1-inch bobber, 1-inch tube bobber frame, so that's the whole frame, which again, there you go. I mean, if I went down that route, then I can always revert back if whatever. It almost keeps your options open a little bit. Of course, sticking on cutting off the subframe and welding just a hardtail onto that. I've already got like the ignition relocated, all the bracketry and stuff like that for underneath the tank. I'd like to retain that tank on there as well, which may or may not be possible. I don't know. There's loads of stuff. This is only something in the past couple of days that I've been seriously considering again. So we'll just have to see how that goes. Who knows? But thanks for watching. Bit of a random weird video all over the place. But for more Bonneville fun and frolic, stay tuned. Thanks for watching.